Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here, and today we're going to be talking about the Mechwarrior 5 news that came out today, specifically about the DLC update. This original DLC was scheduled for April, at least that's what we were told last time, and of course, with how the world is right now, expected delays, well, we expected them, right? Well, today we get that information, and of course, the rumors, or at least speculation, is true. There will be delay. But before we get into details, I'm going to go ahead and break down and read what they posted. So let's go ahead and check this out together. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in here. We've got greetings, Mech Wars. Over the last 3 months, the team has been hard at work building our first DLC pack. Our original goal was to release a content pack that included a robust career mode targeted for April release. Let's go and stop there. They did actually talk about this on the AMAs. When they say robust career mode, they're not specifically talking about campaign too, so I think we have to make those connections. They're not improving that experience, the campaign, the story, or anything. They're talking about what happens afterwards. You traveling around the inner sphere, so forth, being able to take contracts, different game modes, your mercenary outfit, and how you'll continue to grow and survive, that type of experience with the quest system and so forth. So that's what they're referring to here as far as the career mode. Soon after we started playing our initial revision of career mode, we realized that it wasn't the career mode we really wanted to make, but instead we were making compromises driven by our April deadline. The team was often debating new features that just didn't fit into the schedule, but felt as though they would add additional depth and interest that players really want for a free-form exploration of the inner sphere. After some reflection, we decided that we should delay the release to incorporate these features and adjust our estimates to June release. Shortly after we made these adjustments, the world changed and we've had to readjust to the new work from home policy. As a result of all these changes, it's unlikely that we'll be releasing the enhanced career mode DLC in the first half of this year. Rest assured, the team is hard at work, making an even more expansive career mode with even more mechs, weapons, equipment, missions, biomes, and some surprises we hope you like. Now that right there sort of tells you something. We're not getting this before June, and if anything, my speculation here is probably September, October, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out. As far as mechs, weapons, equipment, and biomes and stuff like that, let's go ahead and dive in. So what is this called? The DLC. It's called Heroes of the Inner Sphere. And what does that mean? Well, we got the text right here. Follow your chosen career path from war dog to treasure hunter in the new career mode. Okay. Explore new war zones, new quests, new missions that span the full breadth of the inner sphere. That's actually really cool as far as quests. It reminds me a lot of the Flashpoint system and Harebrained Schemes Battletech. The quest, one thing that I really wish they would do, and maybe we'll see it here, is that quests can also happen on the same planet. The quest in the stock game, you would travel to another planet, maybe there would be a third one or so forth. I think a lot of us too wouldn't mind like the same planet, so you don't have to travel. But even if you do have to travel, that's fine too. But really intriguing, maybe a little bit more information, even on the debriefs and stuff like that, utilizing the HoloVid, table and stuff like that. And of course, new war zones. I'm assuming that means like the biomes as far as the tile sets that they're going to use. Are you talking about like buildings? Are you talking about just its new areas in the inner sphere? What's going on? That would be cool to see. Sort of what are you talking about there? We also have Hunt for the Heroes. Special hero quests tell the story of 7 new heroes and their unique mechs. So of course, that's where the hero mechs are being introduced, or at least in this case, new hero mechs. We do know, obviously, to skip forward, they talk about finding new mech chassis and variants, new weapons, new equipment, as well as blueprints to quirk your beloved mechs. And, underlined here, much more, but no details on the much more. I always, it's one of those things where when game developers I understand it, right? They need to save a little bit for a little bit of surprise. But I don't know. It's like, is the tease really there? It's like, ooh, what more? What could that mean? What is that? Sometimes it's like, well, all the cards on the table, we're going to hold on to them. And I can get that to some extent, but it's like, the game's out. Hype us up. Give us that information. Make us feel like, oh, yeah, it's definitely worth, our money. Anyways, as far as the new mech chassis, variants, new weapons, new equipment, and as well blueprints, I was expecting this. I fully thought they would have new chassis and variants for mechs that are currently available. New weapons, that's a given, a time frame jump. I mean, where we start in the campaign to where you end, the time frame, of course, and new equipment, as well as blueprints. This is actually, we have no information. What does this mean? Blueprints for a quirk. Now, if we take anything from Mechwarrior Online, the quirk system, or do we take more of a BattleTech by HBS, the quirk system? The quirk system is actually a legitimate thing in BattleTech for the tabletop, and it's to give mechs a little bit of flavor. And you see them, for instance, in HBS's BattleTech, where a mech will have, maybe it's got a unique ability like the spider where it can jump further, 15% increase and stuff like that. I actually like that in BattleTech. I think it'd be cool here, but the question is, and this is where it gets to new equipment, is it enough? Are we talking about engine or ferro or Indo steel swapping and stuff like that? And I did get an answer from Russ, and he basically said, no, we're going to leave that to the modders. And that was actually via Twitter. So that was our response from that. But what they are adding, and we'll get to that in just a second, is different types of equipment. But as far as mechs, chassis, and new weapon, I think this was sort of a given. We expected that, right? All right, so the content summary. Share details what they're currently working on. New career mode. Start a career from scratch in any of the great houses, or import your progress from an original campaign. So that allows you to, basically start over or just bring it all in. It doesn't really seem like it'll impact you if you've played, 1,000 hours already, or if you just want to start from scratch. For me personally, I'll probably just start from scratch. Career paths. Complete 5 different job types to unlock career path rewards, including new blueprints for quirking mechs. This is actually really intriguing because if they're tying it into specific jobs, how would that work? What happens? Are those jobs tied into the faction? What happens, of course, if you don't have good standings with the faction? Maybe you have to grind that out to improve that. I'd like to know a little bit more. And of course, can you do more than one quirk? Is it something that you have to pay for? Blueprints, obviously, sort of talk about, you having to build something and it's going to cost. We don't really know. All right, expand an Innersphere map that includes 61 total war zones, plus 18, 34 industrial hubs, and 55 quest lines, plus 11, recrafted for less linear, more open exploration. Now, this is actually something that we had brought up in the AMAs when Russ was talking about, and then afterwards, which was how it currently works in the Innersphere is you start in dabbing space and you work your way in, right, clockwise. The end game is where Karita Davian space is around where the 15 hardest missions are. And of course, once you complete the campaign, it pops up in a few other places. But really, that's it. There's no like 5s in other areas. And that was one of the things we talked about, which was, would you open that up? So there was stuff going on. You have this huge part of the inner sphere. There should be conflicts and pirates and doing stuff and all over the place. There should be multiple levels, and it looks like that's what they're doing. It looks like plus 18. It'll be interesting to see if those shift or adjust, and you have different difficulty areas. And of course, the quest lines plus 11. That's cool. Quests are really good. I like them. And of course, you don't want them to be repetitive. I wonder if that is something that modders can also work on. All right, so the next we have hunt down 7 new heroes and their hero mechs in story-driven hero quest, featuring 7 unique handcrafted missions. Now, this is cool. I like this idea. My hesitation here would be, I know how stories go as far as currently Mechwarrior 5 in the story. The overall story arc of Mech 5 is fine. How it's delivered to the player, will it be good? If it's just going to be some text or maybe Rihanna just talking, and then you just do a mission. Is it just going to be demolition? Is it just going to be basically skirmish? Is there something unique and going on here to really pulls you in the immersion factor in these story-driven hero quests? I guess we'll find out. 7 new mech chassis: the Corsair, Vulcan, Charger, Hatamoto Chi, Dervish, Champion, and Marauder 2. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is this wasn't like not expected. The Corsair was originally supposed to be in the game in the first place. That's what it was sort of touted with the pre-order back in the day when at MechCon, that it was going to be in Mechwarrior 5. I actually expected this mech to be in at the very beginning, not in a DLC later. And as of right now, I'm assuming this is going to be paid DLC. I'm not sure. So at a later point in time, this may all be free. I am not sure. They didn't talk anything about price, and we'll get to that. Vulcan, Charger, Hatamoto Chi, Dervish, Champion, and Marauder 2. Now, a part of me says, wow, that's not really a whole lot of mechs, but you also have to include all the variants to those and which ones they do. Also, because of Mechwarrior 5 and the enhanced damage states where you can see inside the internal structure and all that, like obviously bringing it from MWO, it was a lot more to then just update. But what do you guys think? Is that enough? I was expecting more, and you know, it's one of those where maybe they'll leave it to future DLC to continue adding. But let's just say, for sake here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let's just say they have at least 3, you know, variants each. That's 21, you know, mechs out there. Now, down right here, it says 50 new variants, including new variants for existing chassis. So we do have that, but I just sort of feel like, you know, I was expecting more, especially with the time frame jump. Obviously, this sort of leaves it open to future DLC, mechs like the Bushwhacker and MRMs and that sort of time frame. We're not seeing here, so there's that. New equipment: ECM, EWECM, BAP, EWAP, mask, and supercharger. Now, this would be the pieces of equipment that was talked about up top. Now, this is cool. But what we don't know is how ECM is going to function. Is it going to be like MWO, right? Where you can't lock onto targets. Mask is cool and supercharger is cool. The unique thing about this, though, is that we don't see anything about any other pieces of equipment. And knowing, because of Russ's exchange on Twitter, that Indo and Pharaoh, where does this put some mechs? It still puts them in a relegation zone where they aren't able to do anything. I mean, again, I use that Cicada as my reference point all the time, but the Cicada can't do anything. It needs the ability to have an XL engine, and without an XL engine, it literally can't do anything a Locust can do actually better, which is not right. So there's that. We have new weapons: chem lasers, short burst lasers, and mech rifles, and of course we're familiar with most of those because of BattleTech by HBS. New procedural mission type: beachhead, that features artillery strikes and emplacements. Now, that's cool. I'm all down for a new mission type, especially considering the ones that we have. But with that, we don't get any updates on the other, you know, are we happy with how those others? What about mechs running into buildings you're trying to protect and so forth? The spawning, we don't get anything like that as far as information. We really just don't know. There's no improvements here to any of that. New giant moon biome and moon base garrisons. I'm totally down for the moon base and stuff. That's cool. But we do get a few bits here, and let's go ahead and read into that. These aspects below would be part of a free update, and so all the above seems like it'd be paid, but no price point at said point in time. What would you pay for that? What do you expect to pay for that? Is that something you pay $30 for, $40 for, $50 for? Or is it something along the lines of maybe like XCOM new game that's coming out that you paid $10 for? Keep tabs on the latest Innersphere news to check when borders change or when new tech becomes available, plus many more lore-based events. Now, to me, this is actually sort of a given. I know I saw a lot of people talk about this on the Discord, which is sort of like almost a news scroll wheel, right, of when things happen. And I'm actually okay with this, but stuff is going to be changing borders all the time. The question is, can you alter, can you influence those changes? To me, I don't care if the Davian is taking over part of Karita space, or if Liao is trying to take Davian space, but can I help influence that? That's where the pull and tug of sort of like a faction play system that you can influence, right? Maybe you can go do missions on a certain planet and influence that sort of limbo. Maybe not guarantee it, but be able to influence. Other than that, I mean, that's cool, but there's no gameplay. So it's all it is fluff at that point in time. And some people might enjoy that. And hey, kudos to you if you do. But for me, I would love to be able to just influence that. And the many more lore-based events, this is sort of, again, when stuff is going on, succession wars, maybe there's an attack or there's a certain battle and stuff like that. That's cool. I like knowing that. Like I said, that's lore stuff. If you can be a part of those, and again, in missions or short stories or quests, that would be cool too, right? Just like Battletech, the game, where you can go do flashpoints for, the Kellhounds. Let's do that in this game as well. Another big one is quality of life fixes, such as full 360 LOS, that's line of sight radar, and ambient area-based heat effects. This is actually a really good thing because that basically means hot planets are hot and cold are cold, so forth and so on. Right now, they're all the same. And it says, and more still to come. Now, I was talking about some of the quality of life fixes that we didn't have earlier, and this is where I just want to say, and more still to come. It's one of those things where I think we really just need more information. If someone is sitting on the sidelines and thinking about buying the game because they watch others playing the experience, maybe that might set them apart from buying your product or not. Or in this case, if you got someone that's already played your game and said, hey, I'm just not really going back to it because of X, Y, and Z, maybe you releasing a little bit more information. And I get it, guys, I get it, right? You don't want to overpromise and then have to pull back. These are the things that are locked in. But for me, there's a lot to the base game that still needs adjusting and fixed. All right, let's go ahead and ramp this down. On this post, we don't have an exact release date to share at this time, but we are monitoring progress and will provide a more accurate assessment of our release plans closer to summertime. In the meantime, the team will continue to support great work underway in the modding community. Team Piranha. And of course, we have 2 screenshots here, and it looks like these are the biomes that they talked about. Moon, it does look pretty, I'll tell you that, and that Marauder 2 looks good as well. And another one here with the champion. Looks beautiful. Looks like a very, very nice and sexy looking HPG network, if you will, with some of those textures that look familiar, just saying. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about my overall thoughts of this entire DLC and the announcement. I was expecting a delay. I think the entire world right now, that's forgivable 100%. Actually, I want to wish everyone at Piranha be safe, stay healthy, enjoy the family time. But of course, we're excited. We're going to be sitting on the sidelines, and we appreciate the information released. Some critiques here. I would say that we'd like to know a price point. I think that's very important. Maybe you'll narrow that down a little bit later. I think another critique would be the Mech Lab. I really wish it would have been supported from the very beginning of mechs being able to be customizable, just like MWO. And I'm talking about engine, I'm talking about Indo and Pharaoh, I'm talking about gyroscopes and sensors and targeting computers and so forth and so on. Now, the argument could be made, you wanted to make mechs unique and special, but all you actually did is relegate them. And you relegated a lot of them to a life of, I'll never use it. I use the Cicada. Whereas if you just went with the Mech Lab that you had in Mechwarrior Online, and if someone didn't want to modify the mech, they didn't have to. But instead, that choice was taken away from us. And I'm really, again, saddened to hear that it's going to be left to the modders. But you know what? Hey, kudos, modders are able to do it, and hopefully they'll be able to step up and make that happen. I guess my challenge now is to the modders out there, let's make it happen. I know there's already some work being done, but I also have to question, do you have all the resources available to you out there? And I guess the question then would lie on to Alex Garden. What information are you exchanging with the modders out there that they need to know? Is there any limitations, or are you open to able to make this happen so that engine swapping can happen, that Indo and Pharaoh can happen as well? Let's talk about the content, what they talked about really quick. The career mode, the career path. I think this is really good. I like the additions to it, but I feel like one of the critiques I've always had about open world exploration is that you have to have so much in your game so it doesn't feel repetitive. Yes, the added beachhead procedural mission types will be nice, but do we have any additions to the current game modes? And maybe that falls into and some to come, and more still to come, I should say. Do the quality of life of spawning vehicles right on top of you, even with the adjustments, and it feels like sort of since the last patch, you'll have kilos and tanks spawn right in front of you. Are some of those things going to be adjusted to where they're sort of immersion breaking and also sort of frustrating from a tactical perspective? Also, are we going to see stuff like mech labs being used? Are we going to see the radar jammers being used? What are other things? What is the depth and substance are we going to see? Are we going to see that in here? And that may be something that PGI holds on dear to. I don't know. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Do you have a question for Piranha Games when it comes to this DLC and the future of Mechwarrior 5? If you post a question down below in the description, I'm going to collect as many as I can, read them, create a video, and post it back up. And we'll see if we can get a response and a little bit more information. Obviously, this just came out. And maybe we'll get a response very quickly right back from Russ and co. But anyways, I just want to say thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it informational, and you just you like the content here, make sure to click that like and subscribe button down there and that little bell notification. That way you guys get notifications when we go live with a new video. Speaking of live notifications, make sure to join us live over at twitch.tv/NGNGTV, where we stream every single day Mechwarrior Online, Mechwarrior 5, Battletech, and of course other games like XCOM 2 right now. Thank you guys for the suggestion. It's been great. It's been brutal. I'm loving it. And last but not least, if you're looking for any type of t-shirts for some mech swag, make sure to check out our merchandise store. I'll have a link down below. We've got some older designs here, some newer designs, and of course a mouse pad and a few stickers. So make sure to check those out. We have different ones in different colors, like the Mech Bro here, where we have in black, of course, blue, white, and different variations here. And of course, guys, if you enjoy my content and what I create here, and you guys want to help contribute, consider becoming a patron. We've got different levels here for everyone. One of the cool things I have is every single month I will do a cookie giveaway where I do a random generation roll or some RNG, and I send cookies to my patrons, one lucky per month. And of course you can help choose which cookies, and for the Kerensky's chosen, you get to choose a video of your choice for me to create a build. And anyways, check that out if you're interested. If not, do not feel pressured. Just want to say thank you again for considering it. I appreciate it. Thank you again for tuning in for this Mechwarrior 5 news bit. And of course, don't forget to leave your questions down below so I can collect them and get them put up in another video, so we can hopefully get some responses directly from Piranha Games about this DLC and get more tidbits for you. I'll see you on the next video. Until next time.